And that gives us strength that what we are doing is all right and that we need to really move ahead and perhaps keep on innovating, keep on changing. So once again, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be with you here, and I know that the wonderful faculty here have been very vibrant. I came last time and had the opportunity to talk to you, and it's a learning for me also. And this time I got a new book on the corporate governance, so it's always I collect my takeaways from this great institution, and it's always a pleasure to be here and to share some time. Today, of course, I was told that it would be better to speak on some topic of industry-academia interface. So I thought it would be good to make a structured presentation and give you some of the insight what we believe in the strengths to pursue industry academy interface, and also some of the specific things that as a company that we have undertaken. And perhaps at the time of interaction I'd like to learn from you what that we have, and perhaps I'd like to carry and capture some of the things from all of you. Now if you see from the growth the Indian economy, I think we have a very vibrant economy in the country, and the economic growth all around sectors, some of them it all drives the need for more talent, need for more skills, need for more competence, and therefore need for more employable students. I'm giving an emphasis on employability. So I think one is that it's very important and very specific to India, and that if India has to move ahead, it has to keep that level of high growth and attain certain level of excellence in the all competitive environment compared to other economies. We must transform ourselves into a knowledge economy, and then what all parameters are part of knowledge, we must work on that. Without that, the sustained growth will not be able to achieve that. Now, if you strengths that we have are pretty good, but somewhere we really lack, and we should know where areas are concerned. We are pretty low in the United Nations Education Development Index, 105 out of 130. That's not a very happy situation. If you see some of the things that school education, we have just about 10%, very low compared to access to higher education is even low. The numbers are very large, but if you see percentage-wise low. Even on the labor participation compared to our neighbor China, we are pretty low. Labor productivity is all this thing, but the strength is that we have a tremendous skill base. 50% of the Indian population is below 25 years. That's the strength that we have. A few years back, we used to see as a liability. बहुत बड़ा, बहुत huge हमारा population. But that's not the correct thing. That's a strength. We have a tremendous workforce, and this workforce is transforming not only our country but the world actually. So that's the strength, and we should build on our strengths on this. From the academic point of view, I may look a little harsh here, but I think that's the point of view which I like to say. Universities, academic institutions focus on good education. Fine. But the focus or the aspect that they need to look on, that the employability, I think gets a second fiddle. And that's the point I like to make. The university, the education institutions must look on employability as well, and just not the education. Alone education would not help. The education has to put to practice, and that would come only when there's a focus on employability. And that's what is perhaps lacking today. Next please. There's a spelling mistake here. It seems odd, in the world's most populous region, the biggest problem facing employers is the shortage of qualified people. This came in The Economist. We have a lot. The companies go and look for good talent. They find that there's a shortage. This is the dichotomy situation. Lack of necessary education system and its limited ability to impart practical skills and a lack of cultural fit. This is one of the McKinsey report that was brought out, and very, very apt. And I think these are the aspects which the academy, of my mind, take note of that and inbuilt in their curriculum in many ways. And this is what, to my mind, is not happening. Coming to the need of interface, let's analyze that we have a large human resource as gives us that competitive edge. Today, some of the economies in the Middle East, actually, the Indian workforce, the skill, the competency that they are driving those economies. That's why it will not be wrong to say that it's not our own country, our own economy. Indians are, that's our strength, and we need to capitalize on that to ensure high quality education, appropriate skill sets at large number. We need to, from the exposure to a limited rationale for industry academic interface, we find that there is a shortage of skills. Tremendous shortage of skills. We have seen it day in and day out, and the corporates have expressed this in very clear terms. There is a skill mismatch. Do we have detail in that? No, we'll come back. The company, some of the functions, but you find those skills are not there. And I'll come to detailing on that. You must skills. You have skills suiting to that sector. For example, in the BPO sector, for example, Indian have to be trained a lot. For example, in a very small thing, communicate with worldwide people, all the countries. So how do you see that you speak in the same language, the same accent, the same tone, so that you are able to, you are being understood well and you understand the others? It's a small thing. You may feel it's a small thing, but it is something which should be part of your curriculum. Today it is lacking. You need to develop. Today we are talking corporates, what we call business language. There are schools, organizations coming up to teach business language. How a competent person, a professional person should talk, conduct, behave. That business language is very important today worldwide if you have to compete with others. Quality and focus in education, the quality aspect, and focus on those specific ingredients, components is very important. That is not there today. And there is absolutely no structure for an interface. The industry keeps on developing and keeps on harping, oh, we don't have so much time, money, energy, but we need to do it. But they have no forum to talk to you. Academia works on its own, they own their concepts, they own this thing, keep on doing the same kind of this thing. What for they do it? That objective should be clear. After all, when the people pass out, get that academic competence, they got to put it in practice somewhere. So the two components, the industry and academia, have to converge. Otherwise, the purpose is lost. You spend more time, money, efforts, and that's not good for the country. Next, please. This just gives that major sector changed totally. The ways of doing business has changed. So you find that what people have done earlier, new practices have to come in. So those kind of things have to come. Retailing, there are new emerging fields as well. So those things have to come into that, and there is a shortage all over. Now, next, coming to particularly oil sector. Now here, I'm just giving an example. Now the oil sector requires, for example, a drilling engineer. There is no academic institution or university in the country which gives a drilling engineering degree. With our intervention association, several institutes have introduced some papers in drilling engineering. Or a civil engineer, put him or her through a rigorous training program for a year, then few years of practicing. After 3-4 years only, he can transform, change into a contributing professional. Now this role of training and then says goodbye, I'm moving to a private sector. So the public's, PSUs have that disadvantage and have always been, training, retraining, developing people, but they are at the receiving end when it comes to utilizing this skills and all. But academia has to immediately catch this point that the industry's needs are not factored into their own programs. You take anyone. Well engineer is an engineer which does well completion, specific programs in the well. There's hardly any degree or course conducted on that. Maintenance engineer comes by practice, I understand, but there are certain maintenance practices they are not there. So it is the industry has to spend a few years to transform a petroleum engineer, a mechanical, electrical engineer into a performing professional. Similarly, in some of the geosciences, they are two very relevant areas for an oil and gas company, and that's why specifically I'm talking about here. MSc Geology, MSc Physics, MSc Chemistry, but we need a geoscientist, a petrophysicist who understands a well log, is able to analyze that. It takes years. Disconnect has to be bridged, and the academia has to work in tandem. There has to be just not courses, there have to be actually practical assignments on the job, which the industry will be very willing to participate as a project study, so that they actually carry out the work and in the process of that learn that. Next please. Now there was a study by the NASSCOM there, and it has a vibrant industry, IT industry. A lot of but then what is that by 2010? The estimates are that there would be a shortage of about 500,000 people to develop this thing. And I must again say that there is again a disconnect between the industry and this thing, and I must give credit to NASSCOM. They run a course which all the IT professionals, when they take up that, then they are qualified and certified to take up any IT related course. So there is a agency which runs a course, and again then it's only about 10% are employable in the IT industry. So there is with such a large number, if only 10% are employable, what happens to the 90%? So the quality issue is becoming very important, and the academia has to take care of the quality in terms of lower levels like ITI, this thing, where we have seen that they hardly have any this thing. One of the institutions we were so aghast to see was run in a garage in Mumbai, giving an ITI this thing, a technician without any facility. What a person would be able to do when he goes to actually work in a company. So who checks these standards? Who checks the basic workforce? We have to tighten our belts. There's no other way to compete. There's no shortcut to that. Next please. Employability, I'm focusing, is just not at the degree level. I think we have a wrong conception. We must look and address at different levels. Today what has happened is in the country, you look for a good technician, you will not find a technician. Because the focus had come only for the degree course. We forgot about the polytechnics, we forgot about the diploma holders. And that's, I think, a wrong thing. So we need to address this issue of academia, where the fresh programs in ITIs and diplomas have to be worked out, degree courses have to be worked out, and then even management of those areas, those have to be developed. And actually these mismatches have to be corrected. And academia and industry and government, I think all have a role to play to work out in equality. Are in demand. There's no problem with them. They get immediately a job. The starting salary may be around 25,000 or even more today. Large remains unemployed just because they are not able to speak the business language. They don't have those skills, competence. They may have the knowledge, but they are not able to put to practice. And I think that's the area we like to address. And there is definitely a need for institutions that provide a quality education. Corporate, we find that there's a shortage of quality people at ITI technician level, and we find that in some of the areas there's absolutely a very bad situation, like shortage of staff. 89% ITI had this thing. If the staff is not there, how they're going to do that? 70% of the IT did not have allocated budget. there is no interface and lack of appropriate supervision. So all those things, I think, where is the mechanism? And I can tell you that industry will be very much willing to support them in terms of infrastructure, in terms of even faculty, in terms of guidance to what courses, what orientation is needed. I think that's where the industry can put in their efforts. Coming to some of the initiatives that we have taken, education has been our focus area, whether it is CSR or otherwise. We run about 15 Kendriya Vidyalaya of our own, I mean to say, and about a dozen primary schools, Shishu Vihars, or that. I mean, our own ONGC wards may be just about 10 to 20%. It's less for the community, but this is a focus area for us. After we run about almost a dozen courses there. In the ranking, it's been top institution. Again, it's not just for ONGC, their own wards. It's an open competition there, and I think we're very happy that, and we've been running this for almost more than 2 decades. It's not just recently opened. So we're very happy that we've been able to do that. We have developed a system to collaborate with the academia. Number one, we were the major thing in setting up the RGIPT, Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Petroleum Technology at Raebareli. The oil companies got together to establish this institute on the lines of IT, which is an institute of eminence. And it is primarily to address the shortage of petroleum engineers in the industry in the country. And we have supported this in terms of not only just money, by faculty, by our overall guidance, by infrastructure. The Government of India's initiative to upgrade ITIs, wherever we are working, we are collaborating